Welcome back to Your Magical Midlife, the no BS podcast for unconventional women ready to ditch the shoulds and claim their wild and wise selves. I'm Kate Higgins, your host. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and coach with 25 years of walking women through the chaos, blending my clinical grit with spiritual fire. As women, we walk through 4 distinct portals in our lifetime: the maiden, the mother, the empress, and the crone. Each one brings us wounds to heal and gifts to unpack. This podcast explores all the midlife themes: change, the change, caring for aging parents, unpacking the grief of aging, our shifting identity, and aging with agency, joy, and rebellion. I'm here to help you heal the wounds, flip the scripts, and step into your life that's been waiting for you. Let's get real, raw, gritty, and unleash some magic. Here's a question for you. What if your wound wasn't in the way? What if your wound was the way? So many of us Gen Xers, we grew up with imperfect parents who really didn't know what they were doing, and a lot of times didn't really care to learn how to be better parents. It wasn't part of the zeitgeist. It wasn't really part of the culture. They didn't get it, so they couldn't give it. And what has happened to us as a general Gen X culture is we didn't get a lot of guidance. We got a lot of feedback and criticism, but not a lot of guidance. I know this is definitely true for myself and for many of my friends. And we come to this point in our life where we look back at the lives we've led, who we've been, and we think, oh my God, I've messed everything up. There was no opportunity for me to lead a productive, normal, regular, happy, super successful life because of the way I was raised. And that old story really holds us back. I have found that when I was able to loosen the grip on that old story and the messy choices I made in my 20s, in my 30s, and some of the messy choices I made in my 40s, I can look back at that and really feel critical and self-judgmental. I should have known better. I've messed it up. It's too late to turn this ship around. And I say that with probably someone else would look at my life and be like, what mess did you make? You have a professional career, you have a degree, all the things. Yes, that's true. But at the same time, I had my career as a social worker. I was doing all kinds of nonsense in the background. I was not taking myself super seriously. I was not looking after myself financially. I was not building a home, building a family, all those things. And I could really beat myself up about that. But I could also look at the wounds. I could look at my family and say, okay, this is what was handed to you. This is what you received or didn't receive. This is how you responded to it. This is how you reacted to it. Here are the mistakes you made. But maybe you can take all of that pain, all of those wounds, and honestly, this only popped up for me in the wake of my father dying and realizing that I was never going to have that present, loving, consistent father. And because of my parents' unhappy marriage, I was never going to have that consistent, loving, stable mother who was able to give me a foundation to be a successful adult. And I feel kind of guilty saying that out loud, but that is the absolute truth. The family I grew up in was not a happy one. We were not taught how to be a cohesive unit. We were not given guidelines. My brother and I were kind of left on our own. My brother got a little bit more because he's older before my mom really fell apart. My dad was never really a consistent, stable, happy, guiding, and supportive parent. So by the time I was 12 or 13, stable parenting was completely off the table. My brother was maybe 16 or 17 by that point. He got a little bit more. He launched out of the house. He did fine in life. I struggled much more than he did. And I think finally I can look at those struggles and say, I can take that and I can flip it and I can help people. I can help other women. I can help them in self-acceptance. I can help them in finding the treasures in the mess. I can help them walk their way through the wound and find their way. The wound is the way. The wound is not in your way. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to say it again. The wound is not in your way. The wound is your way through. And what I mean by that is you can take the pain, you can take the grief, you can take the sadness, and you can turn it around and make that the pivotal point for the healing, the happiness, and the joy that you have been craving your whole life. That is what I'm working on. That is why I created Craft Your Crown. That is why I've stepped into doing events and ceremony and rites of passage, because I really believe that you don't have to stay in the, oh my God, I'm never going to get better. Oh my God, I need therapy for the rest of my life. Oh my God, I'm going to just run over my trauma over and over and over again and entrench it down till I can feel it in my bones. No, we're not doing that. We're going to look at the trauma. We're going to look it in the eye. We're going to flip it. We're going to heal it. And we're going to move the fuck forward. Because if you are like me, I am 55 this year. I figure I have 25, 30 years left on this planet. I want to live happy. I want to live productive. I want to live creative. And I certainly don't want to live like a victim. So I've made the conscious choice to acknowledge my grief and my sadness, not bypass it, to acknowledge it, to say, okay, that's what happened. I was raised by these imperfect people. I can try to forgive them. They are gone. There's no conversation to have. There's no beating my head against the wall anymore. It's never going to be what I hoped it would be, but that's okay. I can still go out into the world and do the best that I can and live the best life I can. And I deserve it, and I deserve to live happily. And so do you. So, if you would like to experience Craft Your Crown, shoot me an email and we can talk about it. Maybe I can come out to your town, to your city. Maybe you can gather some friends and hire me to come out and do a private Craft Your Crown in your community. Also, I have a retreat coming up in February of 2027. The details will drop in September, so be on the lookout for that. And in the meantime, thank you so much for listening. Take my archetype quiz. Find out if you're playing with maiden energy, mother energy, empress energy, or crone energy. And I'll talk to you next week. Thank you, as always, for listening. That's it for today, my love. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Please give me a follow on Instagram and Substack at Your Magical Midlife. And check out my website, yourmagicalmidlife.com, for offerings, retreats, workshops, and to book Craft Your Crown at your event. I'll talk to you soon. Have a beautiful week.